Maybe unless someone owns a dog, no one can truly comprehend the significance and strength of love. I agree wholeheartedly. And to help us both see eye to eye, I'll be showing you adorable dog behaviors that will cheer you up. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. The first is the tale of two dogs that, after their owner had a terrible event, did something horrifying. We make plans for the day when we wake up every morning, but we never know what the day will bring or how it will go. When he woke up, a wheelchair-bound guy from Chimbote, Peru, wanted to walk his dogs as usual. He performed this task nearly every day without any issues, but the morning was different. This man was strolling with one of his best friends that day when all of a sudden he collapsed and struck his head on the ground. The man instantly lost consciousness as a result of the fall. Bystanders had to come to his aid because he was alone with his puppies, so they dialed for a paramedic squad. This group was going to see the most touching thing imaginable. The paramedics came shortly after the emergency call, but what they observed from a distance was very different from what they had imagined. They were surprised to see the dogs there since, having been told that the man was in a wheelchair, they had anticipated seeing another human next to him. Their mouths dropped, but not because of the puppies themselves. Rather, it was what they were doing. The dogs appeared to be attempting to protect the man since they were lying so close to him. Dogs lick wounds to speed up healing. They were treating the guy in a desperate but kind manner by doing the same to him. The man's condition was grave, and when the paramedics arrived at last, they placed him onto a stretcher and hurried him to the ambulance. Then, once more, something unexpected occurred. The man's dogs attempted to push the stretcher as they ran toward the ambulance. The health staff was really upset by this decision, even though it went against their policies to permit dogs. They made the fruitless attempt to drive the dogs away in the beginning. The dog's obvious willingness to move mountains in order to be near their injured owner was evident. Thus, the paramedics showed love by letting the dogs accompany them. The dogs took care of their owner even in the vehicle. It took the man a few minutes to come to. When he opened his eyes, he immediately looked for his puppies, and he could see they were frightened since they were running scared. He assured them that everything would be well by touching them. The devoted dogs were allowed to enter the hospital as guardians and waited outside the room while the medical staff took care of their master. The guy recovered in a few hours and began to regain his strength, but the dogs would not depart from his side. But they were tired too, so at last they took a moment to unwind and laid their heads down by their owner's feet. After seeing how these dogs looked after their owners, everyone in the hospital was really pleased. They accepted dogs as real guards and superheroes, saying that a dog is a man's best friend. Here's another touching tale that highlights the wonderful relationship that dogs and people have. It all began when a woman became ill at home on Bayukata Island in Istanbul, Turkey. Thus, her relatives got in touch with the emergency department right away. The woman's condition didn't get better when the emergency personnel came, so they started giving her first aid and brought her to the hospital so she could receive the attention she needed. Neither of them spotted the woman's dog in the room while they were caring to her. The dog had been extremely agitated the entire time and was aware that something was amiss with her owner. But now she was going to do something bold that would bring her to the attention of everybody. The moment the woman was put on a stretcher was when it all began. The dog leaped out of the home as well, following them as they carried her out and toward the ambulance. If the dog hadn't gotten out, maybe no one would have noticed, but then she started barking and trying to force her way inside the ambulance. It was such a tender and heartfelt expression of fear and love. The paramedics were persuaded, but they were unable to follow protocol and bring the dog along. Everyone was expecting the dog to go back, but what transpired next was incredible. Love can drive humans to accomplish nearly anything, and the dog's reason was pure love and concern for her owner. Thus, the determined dog cast caution to the wind and began rushing after the van as the ambulance sped away. She wished to ensure that she supported her owner in her hour of weakness. The dog chased the ambulance relentlessly at a close distance till she unexpectedly arrived at the hospital as well. Unfortunately, the dog was turned away upon arriving at the health clinic, but she had already traveled too far to turn around, so she waited outside for the woman. The woman was eventually released from the hospital and reunited with her closest friend. Without a doubt, dogs are lovely animals. You will cry at what this dog did in the following chapter. Xiao, 56, was diagnosed with heart disease and hypertension a few years ago. Though he was never alone in his problems, he lived in constant terror that anything may happen to him at any time. His dog, Mao Mao, was aware of his anguish and concerns. You will soon witness the lengths this devoted dog will go to for Xiao. Over time, Xiao's health deteriorated to the point that the doctor informed him one day that he would need to sleep on a ventilator. A touching thing occurred when it was time for Xiao to use the nebulizer for the first time. Even though Mao Mao had seen Xiao use one previously and knew he was ill, everything felt so weird to her. However, Mao Mao hurried to his side as Xiao covered his nose with the ventilator. Then she rested her head on his chest, dread and concern etched vividly in her eyes. She kept gazing at him after that, as though to suggest, "Everything is fine. I'm here right now." Every night, Mao Mao has refused to accept Xiao's assurances that everything is well and she is free to leave. Xiao realized his dog was anxious. Mao Mao never gets out of bed until Xiao wakes up. She runs to his side and rests her head on his chest every time Xiao puts on his breathing device. She decided to watch out for Xiao while he slept. That's quite the cute puppy, huh? However, Mao Mao isn't the only adorable canine. Here's how this dog won over everyone's affection as well. A woman in Heilongjiang, China was walking her golden dog one day in July 2018 when she passed out unexpectedly. The dog became terrified as the woman collapsed. He touched the woman many times right away, but she remained still. The puppy remained at her side without moving 1 inch. Emergency services were promptly notified by bystanders and arrived within minutes. Upon arriving at the site, the paramedics first avoided approaching the woman due to their fear of the dog's large size, but they quickly began taking care of the woman after seeing the dog wasn't hostile and was only defending her owner. The dog's attitude altered as soon as they hoisted her onto the stretcher. It was evident to everybody that she was pleased that assistance had arrived. The dog insisted on going inside the ambulance despite the paramedics' first refusals, so they eventually had to breach their regulations and let the devoted dog inside. The next thing the dog did surprised the paramedics, who had assumed they had seen it all. When they got to the hospital, the woman was dropped from the ambulance by the golden retriever, who tried very cutely to push the stretcher. The dog waited outside the treatment room while the physicians attended to the patient because she was not permitted inside the hospital due to restrictions. When the woman came to a few hours later, she asked to see her dog, which was an unusual development. She ran like a real guardian when she heard her name, happy that her owner had recovered. The two must have had a surprising and stressful experience since they embraced and let all of their feelings out when they saw each other again. This following story is going to blow your mind if you believe you've seen it all. Dogs are devoted and will fight valiantly for people they care about. After her owner, Senturk, was brought to a hospital in northern Turkey, one dog, Bonkuk, went above and above in proving this. Bonkuk was unable to accompany Senturk when an ambulance arrived at her house to pick her up, since she had unexpectedly become unwell. But the dog wasn't permitted into the hospital when they arrived. When this occurred, Bonkuk took an incredible action. She was obviously waiting for her owner to go because she was sitting outside the hospital's entrance. Although, regrettably, the woman was not released that day, Bonkuk persisted. She began going to the hospital every day at 9 in the morning and didn't leave until dusk. In the days that followed, Bonkuk gained popularity in the area around the hospital. However, she did something that increased her notoriety and affection. A few days later, Insi Öztürk, Senturk's daughter, brought Bonkuk home. Everyone was astonished to learn that the devoted doggo would still be around the next day, racing to the hospital entrance to occupy her normal spot, even though they had all assumed she would be gone. All by herself, she had escaped from her house and made her way to the hospital. Everyone's love for her increased after this deed. When Senturk was eventually released from the hospital after a few days, Bonkuk was overjoyed to see her and her puppy. She persisted on waving her tail. There is a proverb that goes, "Buy a dog, feed it, and keep it around if you want someone to love you forever." Has your dog ever supported you during a medical emergency? How did they act? Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.